Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 10 of Season 18 in Division 2. We are here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. My name is VNT Felix One. I'll be taking you through tonight's action and through tonight's racing. On my own for today, PC will be unavailable for today, so you get to deal with me and me alone. And after yesterday's Division 3 race already being, one hell of a race, we are in for a good show today, I would imagine. Decent grid as well. We've got a couple of guys missing today's race because of the Champions League. Finishing out the Champions League group stage? League stage, I guess, would be the correct term. There we go. Finishing up today, so that is, to be fair, understandable. A lot of action going on there as well, but I would not miss this for the world, especially since we should be done well before those games go into the crucial phase. Of course, we will miss the first half of those games, at least most of the first half, I think. Um, they all start in 30 minutes from now, so yeah, we should be done in about just over an hour. So yeah, they should be just finishing up the first half when we finish our race, sorry. Made sure to start on time today, to not miss another minute of the football. People begged me for that. But yeah, the drivers we are missing today, I've got them written down. None of them replaced by any reserves, unfortunately, don't have any available. Viral was unavailable. JM, Sully are the three main drivers who dropped out for today's race. Mihai, of course, gave up his main seat at the Haas. At first, no one took it today. Actually, no, not, I don't know if it was today, but we had I think yesterday, a new driver joined in Yesh, but he's not turned up to the race yet. But he would be in the Haas if he did, so we'll see if he's still exited, or if we maybe see him next week. First car out onto the track is Pinky, already most of the way across the lap. Of course, a driver to look out for, since rejoining the league midway through this season. He has been definitely one of the fastest in this division. Did get a 5-second penalty for the incident he had with Gary at last week's Mystery Grand Prix, reverse Austria. Ended up dropping him to 4th. And actually promoted Sean into 2nd, so it gave Sean an even bigger lead in the championship over Gabri. The current championship situation is that Sean leads by a high 16 points over Gabri. Sean on 133, Gabri on 117. Third is Kuko on 86, so he's 47 behind his teammate Sean. Then Pinky on 79, 54 behind Sean, and Cheeseburger on 76, 57 behind Sean. So I think the main contenders definitely are Gabri and Sean. Kuku has an outside shot. Wouldn't count out Pinky either. Of course, it's still very open. We still have a lot of race to go, so none of the points gaps within that top 5, top 6 or something like that are impossible to overcome. But certainly, that advantage has been locked in. And it's going to be tough for anyone else to get involved in the fight rather than especially Sean and Gabri, maybe Kuko. Of course, Kuku with a tough start to the season, so he's fought back quite nicely, of course, with that race win as well last week in reverse Austria. If we keep up that sort of form, especially with Sean and Gabri leaving some points on the board, do not count him out for this. Pinky then heading to the final corner. And the first lap on the board for qualifying here is going to be a 1:28.166 by Pinky. Next car over the line is the McLaren of Maxi. But he goes back to the pit lane actually. Then we've got Akuzin in the Red Bull. It's beautiful white Red Bull as well. It's a 29.946. Up next, that's a Williams. That would be Owais coming out the final corner. Burning the last of his ERS to the line. DRS enabled. And over the line, that's a 29.994. About half a second of Akuzin. Next one, I believe that's a Red Bulls, that would be Cheeseburger. We saw Akuzin earlier. Through the last corner and down towards the line. Then there's a big group of cars coming up right behind him, so about to see quite a bit of movement in that top left corner. Cheeseburger goes top, 27.2. Then it's an Alpine over the line. That will be Flavors finishing up an outlap, or Edwin. Edwin's also coming to the line, but that wasn't Edwin we were looking at. So now the order reached Cheeseburger, Pinky, Aussie, Edwin, Akuzin, and always Gabri down to the line, and he's immediately followed by one of the Ferraris. That's Sean just starting it up now. Gabri goes top, 27.141. Just about 1.5 tenths clear of Cheeseburger. Papdog goes into third place there, 27.935. And now we have a bit of a longer gap to next car. That's a it's Pinky again. We already saw him finish lap, so this is not a push lap. Akuzin the same. So he also just smashed off his wing on the in lap. Otherwise, not another push lap. Phantom on the out lap. Starting his qualifying quite early for once. So I believe Bobodinho could be the next one actually finishing up a lap. Or Flavors. Of course, race winner yesterday in Division 3. And very well deserved. Of a great race. So one to keep an eye out for today as well. Of course, the competition in Division 2 is tougher, so I wouldn't say he's a favorite to win or anything. But if you look back towards Miami, he dominated that Division 3 race and clearly carried the form into Division 2, winning the race on the day. Of course, he did lose it in the end, since Sean had won the race on track and got a 3-second track limit penalty, which he was able to remove, giving him the win back. There we go. He earned that fair and square. But still, a very strong second place in Miami for Flavors in the end on the board. And that's a very strong fourth place on the board for now. It's Bobodinho goes second fastest, 14 thousandths only of Gabri, who is still on provisional pole position, but it is very, very close. Sean goes into 7th place, 28.281, over a second away from his championship rival. Definitely needs to step up quite a bit there. Can't be allowing himself to be starting that far on the field. Make his job a lot tougher as Maxi now starts up his lap, and right behind him is Gabri, who I might just go back to the pit lane. Yeah, doesn't have fuel, so yeah, back to the pit lane for Gabri, of course. Not really any sin in doing a lap. Even if he had fuel, those tires would be quite worn out by now, and the lap was not that terrible that he'd be able to improve it. Always a 10th up after middle sector. Phantom Fox as well coming up in sector 2, and that's going to be a 101.0. I think I remember seeing 100 from someone earlier, so that lap from Phantom can't be too good so far. I'm not sure where I saw the 100 from. Of course, Phantom surely has the ambition to be at the front of the field, so if there is someone going a second faster than him, that can't be good, no matter who it is. Always going into P11, still gains 3 tenths, but it's not enough to beat Akuzin. Still needs another 2 tenths to do that. Phantom then over the line, that's a 28.251, 7th place. He does beat Sean by 30 thousandths, but he is over a second away from Gabi and Bobodinho on the front row. So some work to do for Pinky, Phantom and Sean, really, all three of those guys from 6th to 8th. Over a second away from Gabi is not the level they expect from themselves, I would imagine, the level that I think they've shown throughout the rest of the season. Kuko, 32.3 per sector, but he's coming up behind one of Williams here, and that's definitely cost him a bit of time, the dirty air through there, and that was Owais who got in Kuko's way there. It didn't fully block him, but definitely the dirty air, losing Kuko valuable time. Bit of a slipstream as well, maybe, so maybe it ended up as a ±0, but we'll see. It's first lap on the board, this will be as well coming up to another bit of traffic there up ahead, one of the Red Bulls, and that's a 1004, so a very good middle sector by Kuko. Now getting a nice toe actually from the Red Bull up ahead of him, which is Akuzin. Oh, almost went in the back of him there, but I would argue Akuzin did exactly what he was supposed to do. Pull off to the right hand side of the track and give Kuko the racing line on the inside. Kuko just tried to get as much of that slipstream as possible, and almost cost himself a great lap from it. And over the line for Kuko, then that is going to be 4th place, 27.403. So it's not quite the front row, but it is a good start to his qualifying, I would say. Something to work off, a decent banker that will secure himself at least a decent start, even if he has a horrible qualifying from here on out. Phantom going again, it looks like on the same tyre, still 1.9 amps of fuel in the car and a full charged battery. So he is going to try on the same set of tyres again. Akazin doing the same thing right now, I believe. And in that first sector, he's down, by half a tenth. So a very slight little time loss in the first sector, but still that's easily recovered in the second and third. Phantom already up to third gear through there, which is interesting. Normally you take that in fifth gear qualifying. So he's 2 gears lower than I would say he should be. And that was not a good S section at all, and it shows in the end result as Phantom gets all out of shape on the axle of the S's, spins the car around, and that's the end of his qualifying lap. Thankfully for him, it's only minor wing damage, so you can just get back to the pit lane and try again later. Pinky up by 4 tenths in the first sector, so that 1 second he needs to find. He's done almost half of that work already. Problem is, from here on out, the track is mostly straight, so yeah, most of that time, at least unless you've made a horrible mistake in the second or third sector somewhere, you should be gaining most of the time in the first sector. Let's see, and the end of sector 2, Pinky up by 7 tenths, okay. Definitely on the way to a big improvement. That already puts him roughly equal with Kuko. And he's still got a bit more time left to fight in the final sector, I would imagine. Currently in 7th. And as a man with an outside shot of a championship, surely he needs to be on or at least near the front row of the field. The air is enabled down to the line for Pinky. That's a 27.464. He is just behind Kuko in 5th place. 7 minutes left on the timing board. Gabri up by 1.5 tenths in the first sector, so on for a 126 here. Bobolinho also on another lap now through the air section, the most crucial part of the lap, I would say. This is really where the lap is, decided. And that looks rather clean so far. Let's see then, for Bobolinho in the first sector, is that an improvement? Yes, 56 thousandths. A small improvement in the first sector by Bobolinho. Gabri down by 26 thousandths, lost a little bit in the middle sector, but he can definitely still improve. He has a good charge of ERS left here, so he's saved up quite a bit of it for the end of the lap, which can be quite smart. It's a very long straight down towards this hairpin, braking at the 100 meter board. And gets the car rotated perfectly onto the apex. A little loose on the traction on the exit, and that, I think, cost him the lap. Or did it? He's still going to finish it. And it still is a good improvement by just over 10 feet and 27.021, but that wobble through the last corner definitely cost him the 26, and I think it will cost him provisional pole as Mourinho is up by 2 tenths himself. So very likely to go into the 126s and beat Gabri. He doesn't make the same mistake Gabri did. Got very close to the wall, but managed it perfectly. And over the line, that is a 26.858, and indeed, Mourinho goes onto provisional pole position. As Flavors just went over the line, gaining 2.5 tenths, but that means he stays in 7th. Not quite enough to beat Papdog in 6th position. Sean Moore starting another lap. Picks not in the push lap right now, down by 7 tenths. Edwin down to the line, currently 13th. The former champion. Proves 2 tenths, it's only enough for 12th. Not where he wants to be, especially since I would say he has picked up the form a little bit as of recently. Again, of course, not back to his heights of where he was a few seasons ago in that championship fight with Gabri, the two of them teaming up at Ferrari. But at the start of the season in Division 3, Edwin definitely was one of the main contenders for the championship. He sort of dropped out of that title fight, taking it a bit calm, I would say, probably not as motivated for it. He has his championship, I would say. But always a driver to look out for. He's got some potential for sure. Being a second of his teammate Flavors in 7th is not the potential that Edwin has. So even though he's currently down in 12th, I would keep an eye on him for at the very least some points. I mean, that's got to be possible. Someone else who's just on the verge of points, Sean Wool, still 28.281, 1.4 seconds of pole position. As a championship leader, that is just not on. You can get away with this, Sean, if you're fighting for 5th in the standings. And you know how it's funny, 3-time champion is giga washed, but in a title fight, Sean, you have to actually try. I know it's unbelievable. Big 2026, and Sean Mull is actually back in the title fight in Division 2 for the first time since probably F1 22. But is Akazin? Is that a crash? Yes, at that fast chicane, halfway from the middle sector, and the yellow flag out on track is just despawned now. Unfortunately, no one was anywhere near him on track, so I couldn't get a good look at what happened to him. Sean very nicely letting Phantom through there. Good awareness from Sean, and Phantom gets to continue the lap nicely. Full lift coming out of the S section. That wasn't ideal at all, I would say. Or maybe he's just on really low wings. Let's see. He's up by a 10th, which is a start, but being 1.4 seconds off pole once again, Phantom Fox, we know that he's got the pace to be right in the front of Division 2. So this won't be, won't make him happy for sure. Because he is a driver who always gains a lot of points in the race, of course, mainly happening due to the fact that he usually doesn't even qualify at all, or only does one lap right in the end, since he only barely gets home in time for the races every time. But of course there is some skill in that as well. It shows great racecraft, race pace, and awareness, strategy, all of that. So when he actually does qualify, it makes his job a whole lot easier. He's up by 4/10 after Melissa, quite low on the EAS though. We'll see if this puts him a bit further up the field, and maybe gets him involved in the fight of the leading DRS train at the start of the race. It's a 3.5 time improvement, puts him into 8th place ahead of his teammate into the 127, still 1.1 seconds off pole of Bobolinho. Well, 1 second and 50 thousandths, but not what he needs. And Sean has got a whole lot of traffic coming out right ahead of him as he starts his lap. This is far from optimal for Sean, because he needs this lap to be a good one. He's down in 10th right now. And look at all of those cars in the S section ahead of him. It's what, 6 cars, I think? And I think, yeah, Sean has given up on the lap already. He thinks it's not worth trying to navigate through all that without losing time. He'd rather just slow down, save the EAS, and go again next time. He has the fuel to do it, but it does put a bit more stress on the tires, of course, to do a double outlap like that, especially since he already drove a few corners at speed. And those few percentages definitely do matter. It's a small margins, especially in a qualifying track like Saudi Arabia, or any track really. Maxi a 10th up after middle sector, so he's looking to beat Edwin, maybe Pix, if he has a good final sector. Sean is 7/10 away, so the top 10 seems to be a stretch. But we shall see. Maybe he has a lot of time to fight in the final sector, we never know. Currently he is P13. And that final corner looked decent. And for Maxi, that's going to put him into P12. 28.714, gain exactly 2/10 of a second. Gabri on his last run of qualifying now. And this is an absolutely crucial one. His rival Sean down in 10th. His ultimate rival Kuko in 4th. He could definitely get that pole position of Bobolinho. We saw him make a mistake into the lap. We know there's time to find that. He's already a 10th up in the first sector. Great start. Bobolinho also starting now, and so is Kuko. A lot of cars coming down towards the last corner right now. So a lot of cars starting their laps onwards. I think Ossie's finishing up a lap, and he's just about gotten lucky there with everyone starting the lap in time. He gets a bit of a tow as well from, I believe that's Pinky, going over the line. And Ossie does improve in terms of his lap time, but he stays in 9th place, not enough to beat Phantom or anyone else up ahead of him. Bazooka just about makes the line. Is Edwin gonna make it in time? I think he will, barely. And now there's a yellow flag. Great timing, lads. Edwin makes it by a second. Jesus, Edwin. Oh, that's Phantom, I think, who's going to the wall. And we've got Gabri down towards the line. Cheeseburger has crashed out. He will not be improving. Gabri does improve. 26.701. Bobolinho up by a 10th as well, though. It will be close. We have got a McLaren of Maxi through the last corner, but he's already done his lap. Then it's the Aston Martin of Bobolinho next. The front row of the field look to be setting the pace unless someone has a massive time gain. It will be Bobolinho or Gabri. Gabri already put his lap in, 26.701 to beat. Can Bobolinho answer and steal pole position back right in the end? He cannot. He does improve by 63 thousandths. Kuko not improving. Pinky still on a lap. Pupdog down to the last corner, both Ferrari. So Kuko following Sean home. Sean currently in 11th. Can he go up towards the front? Yes, he can. 4th place. A big improvement for Sean. Crucial. Not right towards the front, but he's in the fighting spot now. Pupdog barely improves. It's not enough to gain places. Pinky has spun out the last corner. No improvement coming there. Phantom not improving either. Ossie already did his lap last lap. Edwin is doing donuts. Bazooka to the last corner after the podium in Division 3. Currently down in last place here in qualifying. Can he rocket up towards the front of the field? Not quite. That's P12. 28.414 for Bazooka. And now qualifying standard, just Edwin doing donuts. So it is Gabri on pole position. He's lost the championship lead last round in Austria, but he's clearly not been disturbed by that at all. He's right back on form and on pole position, followed by Bombardino, and how close that is. Less than a 10 separating them, but then there's a big gap to Cheeseburger in third position. Followed by the two Ferraris. Sean beats his teammate Kuko to fourth place, just about, less than half a tenth between them, and then just over half a tenth to Pinky in sixth position. Flavors with a strong seventh place qualifying there, followed by Pup Dog, also very close there in that group, Pinky, Flavors, Pup Dog. And we'll go through the rest of the grid in just a moment when we have the results screen up. There we go. Phantom Fox then qualifying in 9th place, last driver in the 127s with Pix rounding out the top 10, followed by Aussie exactly 60,000 behind him in 11th. Bazooka, one lap right in the end is enough for 12th, but no more than that. Maxi exactly 3/10 behind him in 13th, followed by Edwin in 14th, Akusin in 15th, and Always rounds of the grid in P16. So then, onto the grid for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I expect medium hard for everyone, a one-stop. We saw it in Division 3. Don't think there was anyone trying anything interesting. No two-stoppers. Of course, that was probably helped by the safety car. Maybe there would have been some two-stoppers, I don't know. So I doubt there will be two-stoppers today. Here we are then on the grid for the formation lap. We can have a look at everyone's tires. Last race in Division 3 yesterday was all mediums, and it's the same situation here. Every single driver opting for the medium tire, so no strategy games being played off the start. But that will come into factor once we have a look at undercuts and overcuts. About probably 7 laps into the race is the absolute earliest, but that would be super aggressive.
Cars reform the grids, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race with final communication.
So yeah, the game reckons lap 11 to 13 is a bit of the window, which is 13 is quite late. I think 12 is the absolute latest that makes sense. So yeah, anywhere from 7 to 12 I think is where we'll start to see some pit stops. 7 is really, really aggressive. You're gonna have to do a lot of tire management in the second stint to make that work. I doubt we're seeing anyone going that early, but it's the first lap that is like at least possible. I think lap 9 is the first one that's reasonable. But we'll see. Maybe someone goes for something aggressive. But for the first stint, of course, we'll have a nice and simple race, everyone on the same tire. So here we are then, 5 red lights, Gabri on the left, Bombardino on the right, on the front row, and it's a great start there from Bombardino, who immediately pulls alongside Gabri down towards turn 1, and has the inside line, and it should be the advantage for him, and yes, Bombardino gets ahead of Gabri, and maybe Cheeseburger as well. He has the outside line now coming out of the chicane, and has the slipstream from Bombardino heading towards the S section, and yes, Gabri has been jumped by both Bombardino and Cheeseburger, and there's a crash attack. That's Phantom and Flavors, both involved out of the chicane. Did not make it to the S section before getting up, ending up in the barrier. The rest of the cars though all got through cleanly. Sean has lost some place as well, down to 6th. He's lost now to both Kuko and Pinky, so both championship rivals losing some places off the start and have put themselves on the back foot starting this race. Of course, Flavors and Phantom big losers off the start as well. Maxi up 3, Akusin up 3, likely caused by that chaos that would have been caused at the back from that incident between Flavors and Phantom. And Bombardino immediately puts on the burners. Look at that, 9/10 clear of Cheeseburger. He wants to get out of DRS range and he wants to go running away with this race. So Gabri and Cheeseburger are going to have to put the foot down and make sure to stay with him, because once again gap has been opened up, Bombardino's race gets a whole lot easier than if he has to actually race these guys all race to the line. These DRS trains around here are quite powerful. Look at Papdog there, having a look and a send up the inside on Sean. They make a bit of contact. Thankfully neither car was damaged and neither driver going spinning through the corner. Papdog pulled the move off in the end, but Sean Moore is going to try and come back towards the first chicane there. Papdog covers the inside of the track. Sean has a look around the outside, but opts to brake early. And he's lost another place then, down to 7th. 3 places lost in the first lap for Sean, not a start he needed whatsoever. Phantom is in the pits again, a wing change. Flamers was able to continue, he's on the back of the train once more now. So he has caught up significantly already. And he has got a bit of wing damage on the front end plate. Phantom, his wing damage must have been a bit worse, unable to continue. And Bombardino has managed to break DRS. Maxi with a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. A straight 3-second penalty, not something usually, especially coming out the S section. Maybe he went skateboarding. We saw that in Division 3 a few times. I think both Viral and Flavors, both of the guys who were fighting for the race win yesterday, at some point went over that big curb, exiting the S section, and yeah, just went completely straight. Cheeseburger has burned through literally all of his ERS, and it still was not enough to get the DRS range from Bombardino, and now he will have such a big straight line disadvantage against Gabi. Flavors made the move on Owise, heading into the fast left-hander here. Flavors trying to come back to the field. He's now got Edwin ahead of him. And Papdog still on the charts. Now gets fast Pinky. Up into the top 5 for Papdog, but he's not got DRS to Kuku up ahead, so he will be vulnerable. Down the straight to Pinky. Gabri, has he got the run on Cheeseburger? Yes, he does. Cheeseburger, we saw him earlier, has got no ERS left whatsoever, and Gabri takes 2nd place back in this race. Papdog holds on to 5th against Sean, who passed Pinky down the main straight, I believe. More movement in the back, that's Flavors getting past Akusin. Both Alpines, I believe, got past Akusin there. And now the two of them flying in formation. Next target, Maxi and Bazooka. Little train of 2 cars up ahead for Flavors and Edwin. And Gabri now is the one on the chase after Bombardino. Bombardino used not as much ERS as Cheeseburger, but he did use a good amount to try and get Cheeseburger out of the DRS range. So that gives Gabri a nice chance, and he is closed right up. And the fight for the win is back on. Bombardino not able to break away from the rest of the field. We have got a 4-way fight here. Bombardino, Gabri, Cheeseburger and Kuko all in range to each other. Papdog, Sean following not too far behind, but not quite in the DRS range. That can be crucial. If Sean loses contact to that top 4 group, that's valuable points that he essentially can't fight for in this race. At least without some sort of safety car information. And you can see the brake pedal they're applying. Hopefully, I'm not sure what wheel Sean has, but if it's a Logitech, that's a common known issue that I have suffered with for quite a while. The brake pedal, yeah, pressing itself. Or, well, it's not actually physically pressing, but it's detecting a press when it is not. And now we have a swap between the 2 V-caps. Pinky, he's got some wing damage there, so that's why he's been dropping places the last few laps. From an end plate missing on his V-cap, he's lost out to Papdog, Sean, and now Pix as well. So yeah, that damage explains why, but Akusin in the pit lane already on lap 4, so he surely must have gotten damage as well, otherwise it's yeah, very early stop. Akusin indeed with a wing change. And we now have got 2 trains forming. The top 4, Bombardino, Gabri, Cheeseburger and Kuko, and Papdog has got a whole group of cars in behind him. Sean, Pix, Pinky and Aussie. Bazooka and Maxi also, I think, just about gonna get the DRS range on next straight. And then Flavors got past teammate Edwin at some point, now chasing after Maxi himself. Because it's quite tough around here to get back towards those DRS trains. They are, well, I was gonna say there are a lot of corners, but there literally isn't a track on the F1 calendar with more corners. But half of them are, well, you can see what half the corners look like right now. It's just, it's easily flat, but goes left to right, and there's DRS, you know, so the crucial point is most of the lap is flat out, and there is 3 DRS zones, so trying to overcome that advantage is quite difficult. And it really is a difficult task to get back towards a DS train around a track like this. And that is Cheeseburger with a big moment, and he goes into the wall. Coming out of the last corner, he's got wing damage there as well. Is he going to pit? No, he keeps going for now. But that puts Cheeseburger firmly out of the fight for the podium, and Gabri seizes the opportunity on Bombardino. He had the DS on the main straight, and he's gone up the inside. Gabri takes lead of the race. Cheeseburger now with damage, leading the second train. Papdog with a little wobble out of the first corner. Cheeseburger's damage. How bad is it? We'll probably see from the S section how much he is struggling. He's missing the front right end plate. And the car definitely seems a bit lazy on turning. Doesn't quite want to rotate all the way through the corner. And Papdog will be putting loads and loads of pressure on him. Both Papdog and Sean much more so, go a bit off the track limits there. So it's now a three-way fight for the win. Kuko, Bombardino and Gabri. And Gabri definitely looking quite fast. He passed Bombardino earlier this lap, already 6/10 clear. Kuko himself 8/10 away from Bombardino. He's able to hang on to the DS train. That's the most crucial bit. As long as you do that, anything is possible, especially around a track like the Saudi Arabian GP. A very treacherous track. As we've seen this race already, it's caused, it's claimed quite a few victims. No one DNFing so far, but plenty of wings and winglets flying off the cars. Thankfully, unlike real life, those can't cause any sort of puncture or anything like that. We have damage set to a low enough level where that's not possible. But now Cheeseburger under big pressure. He's got Papdog and he's got Sean right up behind him. And Cheeseburger will definitely lose those two places here, and Sean might try and get Papdog as well. He's still burning the overtake mode. Switching to the inside. And they make a bit of contact in the braking zone, and thankfully that could have ended in absolute tears as they were locking front wheel to rear wheel. And it would have been very easy for Papdog's car to spin right across the nose of Sean Woods there. But yeah, thankfully for both that didn't happen, and they are both still pointing in the right direction. And have gotten past Cheeseburger in the process. Now Papdog doesn't, and Cheeseburger gets stuck on the curb there, exactly what I was talking about earlier, that skateboard curb. And he rejoins the racetrack in P9, probably P10 there, as he has absolutely no momentum. Bazooka slips through as well. And there we have an illegal overtake from Ossie, who I believe, he was taking avoiding action on Cheeseburger, who of course had to rejoin the track somehow. And Ossie, well, I would say Cheeseburger's rejoin was totally okay. He kept to the left side of the track. Ossie just got spooked. And that's Sean! Sean is round, he's got wing damage, big wing damage on the Ferrari, and drops out of the points. And that is a huge blow to his championship ambitions. And as it stands, Gabri actually reclaims the championship lead as Flamers gets up into the top 10, gets past Maxi, and Sean is going to have to pit this lap. And it's going to be a hell of a long stint to get a hard to the end from here, but he has to do it. And that is an awful position for Sean to be in, now losing time, head over fist, and likely dropping behind Akuzin and Phantom Fox to the very back of the grid. I would heavily assume he's going to pit this lap. That wing damage seems, horrendous. And yeah, Sean pulling off the left. Bombardino right behind Gabri, but not quite close enough for the move. Sean into the pit lane. That's of the heart, so he's going to try and go to the end from here. And that will be a very, very long stint for him. We'll see if he comes out ahead of Akuzin. I'm not quite sure how long the pit loss, especially with a wing change. That's a 3-second time penalty for Pinky, currently running in 6th place with that little bit of wing damage. Not able to keep within track limits, and Sean rejoins just side by side, just behind Akuzin. Maybe he's going to try and get him around the outside here. Surely not Sean. Had to move down before the corner, but that could have been a very, very risky move. The two of them got to Regimento, and Sean pulls ahead, and immediately you can see why he was so desperate to get out ahead, because he has absolutely rocketed away from Akuzin. Sean needs to make up ground in this race and could not waste any time getting past Akuzin. 21 seconds now, of course, to always. But everybody else has to make another pit stop. Sean, Akuzin, and Phantom, per the rules, could go to the end. Sean can maybe do it. I highly doubt Akuzin can, and Phantom surely can't. And here we are on the main straight again. Bombardino very close behind Gabri. I think we're likely to see a lead change heading towards turn 1 here. Although Gabri covers the inside of the track. And clearly burns some overtake as well, and he is able to hold on to first place against Bombardino. Papdog has broken the ES with the 2 V-Caps in the duel for 4th place at this point. Cheeseburger with the wing damage got back because Ossi, of course, after Ossi let him through, he's now settling into a rhythm a little bit once again, holding on to the back of Bazooka and trying to limit the damage as much as possible. And now we have a swap for 2nd place. Kuko has gotten past Bombolinho, who is going quite slowly, and I reckon Bombolinho made the exact same mistake that we saw from Cheeseburger a few laps ago, where he got stuck on the outside curb of the last part of the S section, and just like that, also a 3-second time penalty for Edwin. Bombolinho has dropped to 3rd, and he's dropped out of the ES range to Kuko and Gabri. And it is now the 2 Italians on their own out front. Can Bombolinho get back towards the ES range? Or is Gabri pulling Kuko alone gonna be a little bit too strong for him to do so? We'll have to see over the coming up. Of course, we are heading into the pit stop phase, and that could maybe play a factor in Bombolinho's strategy decision. He could try and go for the undercut now to get himself back into the fight. Or try and go long to have a nice tire advantage later on. We'll see what they end up deciding. Lap 8. I could see some people pitting now. I could see them waiting a bit longer as well. It really depends on how good the tire wear is, if you can afford to pit this early. And for the top 3, it seems like they are still going to stay out. And the same seems to go a bit further now. That seems to be Pinky into the pit lane. First, he has a bit of wing damage, so maybe motivation to pit earlier, get the wing changed, and get back into the fight that way. But he is the first one with a strategical pit stop, I would call it. Everybody else had to pit for a wing change. And Pinky is going to also change the wing. Edwin in the pit lane as well. The question, I think, is also interesting is where they come out in relation to Sean. Edwin also with a wing change, and Pinky will come out well ahead of Sean, I would say. But Sean has got Edwin. And there's Pinky, and Sean only just now coming out of the first chicane. Edwin coming out in dead last, P16. But his tires will make the end for sure. Akazin and Phantom for sure won't. Bazooka still on a chase of picks, currently battling over 5th. Cheeseburger in behind has gotten DRS for now, but he has to get a move on to make sure he stays in DRS range. Bombolinho losing ground towards Gabri right now, it looks like. The big question is, do people respond to the undercuts from Pinky and from Sean? They are going to be gaining time on everybody else, and by quite a bit as well. And it looks like Kuko is pulling it in the pit lane. Yes, Kuko with the undercut on Gabri, and Bombolinho follows him in. Papdog still staying out. Here we have Pix and Bazooka also staying out. Cheeseburger into the pit lane for him. Ossi staying out. Flavors is in. Maxi in as well. Now we've got Owise, the last one left in the mediums, and he also comes into the pit lane. The order remains unchanged in front, of course. Kuko comes out ahead of Bombolinho. Some wing changes as well in the pit lane could swap the order up a little bit. Flavors has jumped up a few places there, and that is Pinky coming down the main straight, coming out ahead of a nice group of cars. Of course, Bombolinho and Kuko far away still, but he has jumped pretty much everybody else. Sean coming out in the middle of Cheeseburger and Maxi, just behind Maxi there. With 3 older tires. Now tough race for Sean to the end. We'll see if he can overcome that disadvantage of the older tires. And now, if we have a quick look at the gap to leader, it is 19.6 seconds, and Bombolinho, of course, is gaining on Gabri. So, is Gabri going to respond to the undercut immediately, and hopefully he still is in DRS range? As Sean and Maxi having a little ding-dong battle here, swapping places left, right, and center. And it is Sean who pulls ahead through the inside lines with that long left-hander. And the gap definitely coming down. 17.5 seconds from Kuko to Gabri, 18.8 from Bombolinho to Gabri. Kuko should surely have him. The question is, does Bombolinho? Gabri's in now. So is Papdog. Bazooka's gonna have to keep going. He'd have to double stack behind his teammate, that would not be optimal whatsoever. Pix is in. And so is Ossi, releasing Kuko and Bombolinho into clean air. They won't have any issue with traffic. Gabri coming out of the pit lane. And there you see on the right hand side the Ferrari, now left hand side of Kuko, then the Aston Martin of Bombolinho. And they have... Whoa, just about. Gabri came out of Bombardino, but Kuko has jumped in for the lead of the Grand Prix. The three of them back in one train though. Papdog comes out ahead of Pinky. And here's Aussie coming out in P10, side by side with Cheeseburger, but he has a better run out of the pit lane and holds on to the final points paying position. Sorry, not fast lap race. 3-second penalty to Over is a very different thing. Receiving multiple track limit penalty warning, sorry. And now the last one left on the tyre from the start of the Grand Prix is Bazooka on those 10 lap old mediums by now. 3-second time penalty now to Edwin as well. Penalties racking up near the back end of the grid, outside the top 10. Maxi, always Edwin, all the penalties already. Pinky also picked up a 3-second at some point earlier. Edwin actually with 6 seconds as well, so it's going to make his race quite difficult. Even more so considering he's already dead last on track. And it very much looks like these three are going to decide the podium between themselves. The next car up the road, Papdog, 8.5 seconds away. Bazooka in this lap then. Was too close to his teammate Papdog. Last lap had to go a lap longer than everybody else. Gabri now with a run on Kuko down the main straight, and Kuko has got no chance to defend that. The DRS too powerful. And Gabri takes back the lead of the race. There's Bombardino though, around the outside of Kuko. And they make a little bit of contact there, but it's all clean, I would say, through the first chicane. Kuko with a better run around the outside takes the lead of the race. And then we have Flavors and Pigs battling through the first corner, and they make some contact. And that is big damage for the V car of Pigs. And Flavors, I think, got away without further damage. He only has that big damage from earlier still. Bazooka coming out 3 wide there. And that's a crash. That is Aussie, that is Sean off the track into the air section. It's a virtual safety car. And that could only end in tears. I mean, going 3 wide through there, what were you guys thinking? I had a horrible camera angle, unfortunately, so I didn't really see who else was involved. But it's big damage to Sean again, and that is his chance of points, well, rapidly diminishing. Big damage as well for the McLaren of Maxi's missing, or not that big damage actually, missing the front left end plate. And Aussie spinning around as well. Did he pick up any damage from that? He's missing a front right end plate. So some small damage for Aussie and Maxi, big damage for Sean, and the VSC came on very quickly. And yeah, that, when you see 3 cars in that position, in that corner, 3 wide, you just kind of can tell that's not gonna go well. And the championship leader Sean won't be championship leader for much longer, it seems. This gap to Gabri definitely not big enough to stay ahead, even if Gabri finishes 3rd in this race, with Sean scoring likely 0. He's gonna have to make another pit stop now. Either that or drive with half a wing for the rest of the race. Either solution is not really a nice one. Bombardino with a move around the outside into the SS. He's caught Kuko napping, and Kuko ended up backing out. Playing the long game, playing it smart, letting Bombardino through there. Of course, Bombardino, he can be quite aggressive in this train. He knows both Gabri and Kuko have got a championship fight to think about. Sean did not pit. Look at that wing. Oh, well, I was going to say look at the wing, but there is no wing left really. But Aussie and Maxi did pit, even though the damage was fairly small. And we have got a crash of Pigs, and this time it's a full course safety car. Pigs went off here at the skateboard curb and went straight into the barrier. Sean made the same mistake, and actually Sean's decision not to pit with that safety car coming out immediately after vindicated, as Aussie and Maxi come out with the safety car out the pit lane. You are allowed to pass it. Yes, it's waiting for the safety, waiting for the leader, Maxi. You can go. It's not going to disqualify you, don't worry. They're waiting for Gabri. Now it's a tough question in terms of strategy. Do you pit? I mean, the tires are all fairly new. Of course, guys like Phantom, Akusin, Sean, definitely Sean, are probably in. And anyone else with front wing damage, I would imagine. But those, I mean, maybe Kuko? He's a nice gap in behind, so you could probably pit without losing track position. We'll see. Gabri is not in. He's faking the pit stop, but Bombardino and Kuko are in. Now this is very, very interesting. Gabri staying out, opting for track position. Oh, and it looks like everybody else is in. And that's going to put Gabri on the back foot quite heavily. Literally everybody else pitting. Bazooka staying out. Only one lap on hards. So he's going to go for the position as well. He's going to come out. He's going to push all the way through here, but I think this will be fourth place, sorry, behind Kuko. Not quite enough, but yeah, Bombardino and Kuko staying exactly where they were, and now they have a tyre advantage. Not a big one, it's only a couple of laps, but that couple of laps, when it was as close as it was between those guys earlier, can be crucial. Sean now back in the fight in this race. He will come out the pit lane in 9th, I would imagine, ahead of Phantom here. And then we have Aussie. Of course, he already put it last lap, so he will jump Sean and Phantom. Maxi staying out as well, but he is a bit further back, comes out in 12th. So yeah, the only ones who didn't pit under the safety car, Aussie and Maxi pitted a lap earlier. Bazooka and Gabri at the front of the pack. Gabri with 3 lap on hards. I'm not too sure about the mediums on Bombardino and Papdog's car. Of course, they will make the end, but it's going to be well, the same length as the mediums did at the start of the race, so they will have a lot of wear. I think the guys in the hards are in a better position. So I think Bombardino probably would have been better served actually just staying out on the hards. But then again, that would mean he has Kuko behind on fresh tires. Now, I think this has given Bombardino the opportunity to use those mediums now. Get past Gabri, especially Gabri on slightly more on hards will be a little bit slower. It's not that bad, they're not like awful. Gabri's definitely still well within the fight for the win. But it could give Bombardino that tiny advantage he needs to make the move on Gabri happen early and break out of the DRS range. And that could be yeah, the way for him to win this race, especially on those mediums. You know, early on the safety car restart he'll be a bit faster off the restart, of course. For one, fresh tires, and for two, they'll be warmer. And the hards are much easier to warm up. And the same goes for Papdog. Of course, he has a few more cars to negotiate in terms of getting to the front and trying to break DRS to people. But for sure, he has a chance to make some overtakes happen on Bazooka ahead of him, mainly, I would say. The top 3 seem to be in a world of their own on pace. So, who knows? Maybe on this restart that'll be different. But based on what we saw earlier, I do think Gabri, Bombardino and Kuko are still very much favorites for the top 3 spots. Pinky, of course, now with a fixed front wing, running in 6th position. So he's back in the fight, but he has got a 3-second penalty hanging over his head. Cheeseburger, also, front wing fixed, but down in 8th. A lot of work to do for him, a lot of people he has to overtake. Sean and Phantom, also down in 10th and 11th. A lot of drivers here, a bit further down the field, not right in the back, but somewhere in the midfield. You know, Phantom, Sean, Cheeseburger, Pinky, all drivers that would like to be a bit further up the field for sure. And this safety car gives them the opportunity to try and make that happen, to yeah, make some overtakes and get back towards where they want to be. And the same goes for everybody else, of course. Those are just the ones I would say who are likely to be most frustrated about where they are. Apologies, I had to adjust my headset. I hope hope that wasn't too bad on your ears, me touching the microphone. So, safety car being called in this lap. And Gabri now slows on the pack, warms up his tires and gets ready to hold this restart. The thing he needs to do, I think, is hold on to that P1 for now. He can't allow Bombardino to get into the lead and break DRS from him. That is the main way Bombardino can win this race. And of course, Bombardino hasn't got the same stuff to lose as Kuko and Gabri have gotten this battle. He's the only one fighting for this win who isn't in a championship fight. So maybe he can allow himself to be a bit more aggressive. Especially than Gabri. Kuko needs to gain a lot of points as well, but he's still at least within the fight. Oh, there's contact in the back. That's one of the Saubers going in the back of a Red Bull, I believe, so Aussie and Cheeseburger probably. Gabri has now restarted the race, and he has gotten a decent restart. He's saved down towards turn 1. Some movement happening in the back. There's an Alpine covering, and all Flavors completely missed his braking point, it looks like. And he has spun Pinky around, and Pinky won't be happy with that whatsoever. Cheeseburger jumps him. Papdog gets past his teammate Bazooka up into 4th. And we've got so many cars so close together to the intersection. Fortunately, not a good camera angle here. I can't really tell who is where. But look at all of that. That is Pinky now, of course, trying to make it up for the spin he had in the first corner after the contact with Flavors. As Sean Muller's gone off, and that's a horrible rejoin. Right in front of the racing line into Maxi's path. Hopefully no damage from Maxi, but for sure he's lost, yeah, big damage from Maxi. And that is not what you want to see. Maxi's race going down the drain, and Sean likely to get a penalty for that. Also makes his job of getting some points out of this race a lot tougher. And Maxi, of course, now dropping from the rest of the field. Bombardino all over the back of Gabri. But Gabri has held on long enough that Bombardino doesn't really have a chance to break DRS from him. So at this point, he could probably allow himself to be overtaken. And it wouldn't be the end of the world. Of course, he would still want to hold on to P1. At least for now. Papdog. Getting past Bazooka was absolutely crucial. He's now at the back of Kuko, and he's making good use of those mediums off the start of this race. Pinky making ground in the back of the field as well there, up to 11th past Akuzin. Cheeseburger now on the back of Bazooka, looking for the move into P5. Has to go around the outside through the first corner, it looks like. And the same for Mourinho, who went around the outside on Gabri. They could just see it on your TV just about, and Bombardino with a beautiful move around the outside to the inside for the second part, takes the lead of this race. And now, if he can have a brilliant S-section, maybe he can get Gabri out of 1 second. He has got one opportunity basically, this first sector, and then once that DRS kicks in, as Pix leaves the lobby after his incident, his crash earlier, bringing up the safety car. Unfortunate for him not to be able to finish the race. He was having definitely a decent race, I would say. So it's rather sad to see. And Gabri, 8/10 right now, the detection point coming up after the next 2 corners. He should just about be within the second, but he had to burn some ERS to do so. But it's absolutely crucial he did that, to make sure he stays in the second, otherwise he'd be so vulnerable to Kuku behind, and of course Bombardino would essentially have won the race. Unless his tires drop off massively at the end, but yeah, Gabri still with him. Here we have Flavors with a whole lot of ERS on the back of Bazooka. Battle for 6th heating up here. Flavors could have some damage as well though from that incident on the start with Pinky. Pinky on the back of Sean. Has to make his way back to the field. Hopefully for him he can get towards the front of the strain. The Bazooka and Flavors are fighting. Gabri now out of the air straight from Bombardino somehow through the air straights. He shouldn't really be losing time, but he has. And here we have got Flavors and Bazooka side by side down the main straight. Aussie not too far behind, looking to get involved, making it 3 wide. And the front, Gabri losing places. He's dropped behind Kuko. Kuko, and Bombardino has a 3-second time penalty. 3 seconds added to Bombardino's final race time. Kuko's taken 2nd place, and as it stands, Kuko would be winning this race. Cheeseburger's gotten past Flavors, and there is more movement at the front. Gabri fighting back against Kuko through the S section. What is going on here? The two of them handing this race win to Bombardino right now. What a battle that was to the S though. Kuko pulls out ahead, but taps the barrier there. And Papdog getting a bit out of shape, and there's Cheeseburger now. All of a sudden, 3 seconds ahead of the people he's only just overtaken. Bazooka went off the track and rejoins in P11. And now we've got Akuzin and Edwin slipping through as well. It's all kicking off at once, and I can't keep track of it all. Jesus Christ. Cheeseburger now has joined this fight for 2nd place, which is essentially the fight for the win as well. Kuko 2.8 seconds back from Bombardino. Bombardino needs to now get his absolute foot down and get that 3-second lead that he needs to get this race win still. Bombardino got that penalty, and half a lap later he had a gap, because Gabri and Kuko were fighting so much through the S section. So Bombardino actually still has a very, very decent chance to win this race, especially if there's even more fighting in this group. But in the same sense, they could end up helping each other. Papdog now with a great run on Gabri, looking for the outside into the final corner, but he's out of ERS, and he's stuck in the dirty air now of Kuko, so that makes it quite difficult for him. And Gabri, of course, leaving him only the room he needs to leave him by the regulations. Leaves him the cars with nothing more. Doesn't want to hand that position to him. Cheeseburger with a great run now. Down the main straight. Papdog with a bad exit, of course. Having to battle with Gabri. Cheeseburger takes 4th place. Gabri has a look at Kuko, but can't quite get him. Has to back out and breaks early. Cheeseburger almost slips up the inside there because of that. And the battle continues into the S section. Cheeseburger looking for the outside line, but Gabri makes much later. Goes a little bit off the track there, and Kuko now pulling far ahead. Cheeseburger drives in the back of Gabri through the S section, gets bogged down as well, and there's Papdog now all over the back of him. This is a absolutely storming battle in the final stages of this race, and Kuko has now broken DRS to Gabri. And it looks like Kuko and Bombardino could end up with a time trial race essentially to the line here. Kuko has a bit of the tyre advantage over Gabri behind, so he should be able to keep him out of the DRS range now that he's got him out of it once. 3.4 seconds for Kuko and Bombardino. And the big question is, will those mediums be able to hold the pace and hold Kuko over 3 seconds away in these last stages of the race, or will those mediums drop off and Kuko can get back within the 3 seconds and take this race win to get 2 back-to-back wins and really settle himself as a proper championship challenger, especially with his teammate Sean at the moment down in 10th, scoring only a single point and losing the championship lead, I would think, as it stands. Of course, Gabri under big pressure from Cheeseburger and Pupdog. He could lose points as well here, even more so on Cheeseburger. Goes up the inside, Gabri though with a beautiful switchback. Pupdog goes into the back of them, couldn't quite anticipate Gabri going for that switchback, it seemed like, and Gabri has got the ERS down the main straight once again, and now that means he's going to have the straight line speed and get back into P3. Cheeseburger not past quite yet, but he sends it up the inside into the chicane, so aggressive, and Cheeseburger just about gets that car stopped and gets the move completed into the first chicane. Gabri settles in behind for P4 for the moment, but with all this battling, and look how many people have just caught up. Flavors, almost in the air, mentioned them, and he's bringing Aussie with him. This battle for 3rd place now, turning into a battle all the way down to 7. That's Akuzin. Oh! With an incident there with Bazooka. Akuzin off the track, entering the air section. Tries to rejoin, but Bazooka is right there, and he gets stuck between Bazooka and the wall, and that's massive wing damage on his chance of points down the drain, unfortunately. That's always going a little bit off the track there, coming out the air section. Phantom immediately right behind him there, take advantage. Phantom down in 13th. Not sure what's been happening with him. He's not really made much, well, he's not made any progress since safety car restart, which is surprising to see. Phantom having a tough race today. I haven't really even seen him have like an incident or anything. He's just not really made progress. I'm sure there's something been going on with him. I can't see everything. There's so much going on today. It's one hell of a race so far. I say so far. We're almost done with it. Time flies when you're having fun. Gabri now. Close up in the back of Cheeseburger. 3/10 back. Is he going to go for the move into the hairpin? Doesn't look like it. No, so the ERS off to none. Pupdog looking a little bit further back than usual, but now he's broken a lot later and he's right up behind Gabri. But maybe the mediums starting to show signs of wear. The gap between Bobbardino and Kuko sitting roughly the same. Gabri now with the run down towards turn 1. Cheeseburger covers the middle of the track. Gabri goes even further inside Pinky into the pit lane. Gabri's gone off the track. Pinky retires from the race, and Gabri has to get the position back to Cheeseburger there, as he completed the move off the track illegally by outbraking himself. And this battle continues for even longer. Yellow flag is hit at 3, that's for Pinky retiring in the pit lane. Still, Akuzin swapping for Ace of softs there, so both Maxi and Akuzin now on softs. I'd imagine trying to go for the fast lap attempt. Their races have not gone well so far. But one more safety car could put them right back in the fight, so definitely worth to keep going, and a valiant effort to keep going as well, down in 13th and 14th. Can be tough to keep the motivation going like that, so kudos to them. Sean not even that far away from that battle up ahead now, but of course it's a lot of cars we have to overtake, and he has some wing damage. But at least in terms of distance, he's not that far away from Gabri. But there are 3 cars between them, so it will have to be one hell of a finish in the race for Sean to get him into that fight with Gabri. Pupdog now with a nice run into the final corner, but he runs out of ERS, still sends up the outside there as Gabri, a little bit caught behind Cheeseburger. Now Pupdog is alongside on the exit, but he has a worse exit than Gabri, who has a lot more ERS, and now uses that to pull ahead of Pupdog and turn the fence into attack towards turn 1 for the outside line. Cheeseburger and Gabri bang wheels, and there's Pupdog, who takes the opportunity with Gabri being a little bit out of shape from the wheel banging, and takes 4th place. A great move of Pupdog. Immediately seizing the opportunity. Gabri ever so slightly slow through the first chicane, thanks to the battle with Cheeseburger and Pupdog. Yeah, immediately there. Has taken 4th place, and now he can set his sights on Cheeseburger and get that podium. But Gabri will not let that sit. He is looking to come back at Pupdog immediately. But has to turn the ERS off here. That would be a little bit too risky for Gabri. 3-second time penalty for Edwin, hindering his chance of point. I think it's up to 9 seconds now, yeah. So as it stands, that final points picking position definitely going to Phantom Fox and not Edwin. The top 2 completely gone. All this battling in this train from Cheeseburger to Aussie has resulted in Kuko being 6.5 seconds clear. Kuko 3.3 seconds more than Yo. I've not been keeping my eye on that gap between them probably as much as they deserve. And Bazooka has had a crash. in the fast chicane, looks like, and we've got a yellow flag as well for Maxi, who's gone off. But rejoined the track without major damage. Bazooka rejoined the race in 12th. Yeah, I've not been keeping my eye on that gap between Kuko and Bombardino because I've been so distracted with this absolutely amazing battle between Cheeseburger, Papdog, Gabby, Flavors, Aussie, and maybe Sean as well. He's looking to get involved. But yeah, it is definitely worth keeping an eye on that top left as we head into these last 3 laps in the race, and that will be the thing that decides this race. Kuko against Bombardino. This is a nice battle for third, but nothing more. P2 and P1 are long gone. At this point it's too late for safety car, so this is where everyone sits. These battles will go to the line and nothing else. Bazooka gets back past always for 11th, but right now I can't take my camera off this as Gary is right up behind the back of Papdog. And Papdog is definitely struggling a bit on tires. I would say he's quite far back from Cheeseburger. So if Gary wants to get this podium, he needs to get past Papdog and back into DRS range of Cheeseburger as Papdog is almost out of it. And Cheeseburger, I think, actually slowing down a little bit more, maybe. Yeah, he's on non-ERS there, and he's, I think, letting Papdog stay close to keep him ahead of Gabri. Smart thinking from Cheeseburger if that's what he's doing. I'm sure Papdog won't mind that at all. Gets himself a better chance at a better result as well. So it's a mutual benefit. As Cheeseburger thinks he's safer from Papdog than he would be from Gabri. And I would say he's definitely right in that thinking. Gabri's tires at this point should be better. The medium's definitely wearing out. In behind Gabri, Flavors putting pressure on him as well. Of course, he wants that top 5 result as well. This will not be gifted to Gabri. Flavors closing in. He has a bit better tires as well, of course. Gabri did not pit under the safety car like everybody else here. That's why he's got slightly older tires. And now, with a lot of ERS down towards turn 1, he's going to get Papdog. Papdog's already out of ERS, but I think Gabri, yeah, it's also turned it over already. He was a little bit too far back. But he's running out of laps here. 2 laps to go. Kuko 3.5 seconds from Bombardino. Bombardino, as it stands, still holding on to the win by half a second. If those tires don't collapse completely, they are on equal ERS as well, so that won't be much of a factor. It's looking good for Bombardino. 3.2 now. But one little mistake for either one of them could be the deciding factor. They are essentially running qualifying laps. They are pushing, pushing, pushing. Papdog 8/10 back from Cheeseburger. Yeah, the Cheeseburger on 100% ERS. He could easily gap him if he wanted to. He doesn't want to. He is keeping Papdog in DRS range. Another pit stop from Akasin. Probably another stop for Soft, and he has another go at fast lap. Get some fresh ones on and try again. As he didn't get early. Who has fast lap right now? Bombardino, 30.075. The battle for the top 3 calming down a little bit the last lap or 2. They are still all close to each other, but not been sending those moves everywhere. Maybe waiting for this last lap starting now, and as it stands, Bombardino is exactly 3.1 seconds ahead of Kuko. It is so close. This will go down to the line, I reckon. This will be very close to call. So keep an eye on that top left. 3.1 seconds right now. Papdog not going for moving Cheeseburger to turn 1, but for sure. I mean, Cheeseburger has got so much ERS, that's a great chance for him to get this race win. Race win P3, sorry. Papdog having a little look around the outside in the section, but that would be such a risky move. And the DRS also coming up later. The question is, does Papdog know how much ERS Cheeseburger has? Because if he does, he will surely know he's in a tough spot here to get that P3, but I mean, he for sure wouldn't mind a P4 either. But if that podium is available to you, you want it. Gabri is gonna at least want that P4 of Papdog. In behind, Flavors not too close to Gabri. 2.8 seconds right now from Kuko to Bombardino. Right now, the race went going towards Kuko, and it looks like, yeah, the medium's dropping off ever so slightly in this end of the race. It's gonna cost Bombardino that 3-second time penalty. He'll be kicking himself for that. Gabri's gotten past Papdog in a very unorthodox spot on the track, and now he might get Cheeseburger as well. As we head into the last couple of corners, Bombardino will win the race on track, but Kuko, unless Bombardino can find 3/10 in this last corner, no, definitely not, he's gone way wide. And that means Kuko is a race winner here in Saudi Arabia. Back-to-back beats Gabri, gets Cheeseburger there into the last corner and gets third place. Cheeseburger sends it back up the inside. They bang sideboards, and there's Papdog. Throw them both maybe with a switchback. Down to the line, no Cheeseburger. Gets to run to the line. And Papdog and Gabri are side by side. And it is going to be Papdog by 4,000 of a second, getting 4th place off Gabri. And then a 10th of Flavors, half a second to Aussie, was also side by side with Sean. Phantom brings the car home in 9th. Edwin brings the car home in 10th. On track with the points going to Bazooka on penalties in the end, or the point. Always in 11th, Edwin Turf, and then Maxine Akusin still going around on those soft tires, looking for fast lap of the race maybe, to get at least 1 point out of this Grand Prix. Wow! What a race that was. Absolutely cinema. I mean, just look at that gap. Cheeseburger to Sean is, what, like maybe 1.5 seconds, if that? Unbelievable stuff. Congratulations to Kuko. Back-to-back wins at Austria and now at Saudi Arabia as well, gaining 15 points on Gabri here in, well, 25 in Austria, 15 here, 40 points gained in 2 races. And just like that, Kuko is right in the championship hunt. Sean down in 8th, only 4 points going his way. Not what he needed whatsoever. Despite Gabri having, well, I wouldn't even say a weak race, just not the best result. 5th place, not terrible, good damage limitation, given the tough spot he was in. And especially considering he had P3 in the back until Cheeseburger absolutely sent on him, and that move from Cheeseburger for sure I could see going out to the steward's room and maybe being investigated. We'll see if Gabri reports it. Yeah, Gabri will not be happy with the P5, even though I would say it was a good race from him. Losing 15 points to Kuko like that, and all of a sudden having to fight 2 Ferraris for the Drivers' World Championship. Not what he would have wanted. Bobolinho, what a race he's driven as well. That time penalty, so unfortunate to see. That race win, he had it in the back. As Kuko and Gabri were fighting so much behind him, he had gapped them. But, yeah, I mean, he can only blame himself for that penalty. Well, I would say probably, unless he got forced off by someone, in which case he could get removed and get the win back. But I didn't see that happen, so I would imagine that he caused the penalty himself. And yeah, he has got the fast lap as well, though, so it's at least 19 points for Bobolinho. Damn. Another absolute classic in Division 2. Big congratulations to Kuko. And the last 3 races here in Division 2, all going to Ferrari. Sean won in Miami, Kuko wins Austria and Saudi. Ferrari on a great run, and they extend their lead in the championship. They already led on 219 points to VCAP's 148 and Haas's 122. So Ferrari looking very good for the Constructors' Championship, which, well, tends to happen when you have 2 drivers of the caliber of Sean and Kuko, former world champions in Division 2, and of course in the championship fight this season as well. Yeah, what a race that was. I mean, I could talk probably for hours and hours about all the stuff that happened in that race. It was absolute cinema, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much to the drivers for putting on such a great race for us week in, week out. Division 2 truly never disappoints, and I'm glad to be able to commentate it. Yeah, we'll be seeing you on Saturday, the next Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Division 1, 7:30 PM UK time as normal. And then next week we're going to Bahrain, the Bahrain International Circuit. Looking forward to that one as well in Division 3, 2, and 1, of course. Not so much in 1, I don't really want to drive it, but I'm sure it'll be a good watch for you guys. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today's stream. Have a good evening, and goodbye.